into that, I'm going to talk about another topic, which is why Black men are not going to college and Black women's response to it, which I think is completely inappropriate, in my opinion. Um, with that said, if you're just now coming in, hit the like button. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm not going to wait on anybody to come. So there was a man. He did a TikTok video. There was an original one, but then he did a follow up, and he was talking about how young Black men are choosing not to go to college. With that said, across most demographics, you will see that the men in general are not going to college. Like they're going to college at lesser rates than what they used to. I'll say that. As far as the situation with Black men, they've always been enrolled in college at fewer rates than Black women. Now, me personally, I don't think that's a problem. I think the way we handle the situation is a problem, but I will get into that. So I'm going to go ahead and share this video. Give me a moment.
So a lot of my commenters are right. Many Black men are choosing trade school over college. I can't find specific data showing how many Black men are choosing trade school over college, but Black men are strongly represented in the ranks of people who go to trade school. They're about 40% of those who go to trade school. And studies show about 27% of Black men get college degrees, but 41% of white men get college degrees, and 50% of white women get college degrees, and 64% of Black women get college degrees. This mismatch between the educational attainment of Black women and Black men is a big reason why a lot of Black women say they cannot find eligible men to marry. Let's be clear, I'm not Kevin Samuels. I'm saying a lot of Black men are not maximizing their educational potential while a lot of the sisters are. And that matters in dating.
Okay, so I'm going to keep it all the way 1,000 here. Y'all are going to get upset. This has nothing to do with Black men. I'm going to speak to Gen Z. I'm going to speak to Gen Z just across the board. Okay. Now, mind you, I'll be honest. The first school I ever worked at was a predominantly Hispanic school. And the second school that I ever worked at was a predominantly Black school. The second major demographic was Hispanic. And we had very few white children. I'm going to say that. But from me talking to other teachers who also work in all white school districts, they say the same thing. He's talking about educational potential. I'm sorry, at this point, a lot of Gen Z don't have any educational potential. Not to be trying to go to college. They can't read. They can't read. I'm going to say it again. They can't read. I want all of y'all who got nieces and nephews who are between the ages of 15 and 25 to ask them to sit down and read a book on grade level and see what happens. So I want to see something. Older Gen Z can read a little bit better than younger Gen Z, but they can't read. So as far as I'm concerned, the vast majority of Gen Z, this is not a Black man thing, the vast majority of Gen Z wouldn't even have the opportunity to go to college if teachers were not forced to pass them. The grading scale today is different. Your A student now would have been a C student in 2011. Your C student now, their grades would be in hell. Really, if the teacher gives your kid a C, they probably were really making a 30 or a 20 in the class. I'm not going to hold you. So this don't really have too much to do. There's a lot of Black women in college now who can't read, who are using Chat GPT to do their papers. So this whole thing about there's an educational gap. There's an educational gap in terms of on paper, because these universities are not going to fail everybody that goes in there. But as far as reading and reading comprehension, when I was teaching high school, the girls were reading just as bad as the boys a lot of the times. Let me continue.
Dating life. The trades are honorable and necessary, but for every man who chooses to go into a trade instead of going into college and going into that white collar workforce, he's losing about $1 million in lifetime earnings.
Okay, well, guess what? He's looking at this in terms of what these men are losing. All I hear is for every black man who chooses to go into a trade, that's another black man that's not in prison. That's another black man that's not sitting on his mother's couch. That's another black man who ain't got nothing to do, so he out terrorizing the community or selling illicit substances. That's what I hear when I hear a black man deciding to go into the trades. I'm not worried about whether or not we as women are going to have men to date. There are more important things to be worried about. I'm sorry, there are.
I'm saying a college graduate is probably going to make $1 million more over his lifetime on average than a non college graduate. So, how would you feel if I told you not going to college could cost you $1 million and rob you of your chance of getting certain women? And it will be a missed opportunity to open up and develop your spirit and your soul and your mind in a way that is really not possible anywhere else. College is about so much more than preparing you to do it.
Here's the thing, if people don't want to do it, then that's not going to happen. They're not going to open their mind and their spirit and soul to it. They're already averse. So trying to talk, here's the thing, and I'm not trying to be funny. I support gay people. I support gay men, living their life. I don't have nothing against gay men. But this is a gay man who has already integrated his feminine and his masculine, right? So as far as his thought processes, he's going to be closer to a woman. He's gonna be able. He's not the rowdy boy who plays football and wants to be outside with his friends, right? No, he's probably the type that spent a lot of time around women and really liked education and really liked studying him. So he's doing what a lot of women do, which is trying to talk men into being who they don't want to be, or choosing what they don't want for their life.
Job. It's about preparing you to be a human in the world. When we have lots of black men,
You can learn how to be a human in the world learning a trade. Do we look at Hispanic men and white men who choose to go into trade jobs and view them as not prepared for real life? So I made a video that got a little bit of pushback. A lot of women, and I commented on his video. And here's the thing, a lot of black women, I get into with black women sometimes over issues like this. Hey, intelligent hood genius, he's married to a white woman. Oh, he married to a white woman? Dang, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know. I'm sorry, brother, for putting that on you. I thought you were sweet. I don't know who he is, right? I just assumed from the voice. Excuse me for being ignorant. I thought you was sweet. Okay. I mean, am I wrong for thinking that? Did y'all not think that at first? Okay. Anyway, so I commented on it, and I had a lot of black women. No black man was coming for me. They were agreeing. I had a lot of black women saying that I was making black men feel like they are incapable, which that wasn't my goal. If you don't want to go to college, you got to go do something. Go do a trade. What's wrong with that? So I made a video in response. Ladies, we need to talk about the fact that y'all just won't let men be who they are, and y'all cannot accept men for who they are, honestly and truly. And it's causing a lot of problems. It is. In terms of how society functions. It is. So I responded to a post that a gay man made talking about how there is a crisis because black men are going to college at lesser rates than black women are. Now, I'm a high school teacher. It's not a mystery to me, like it's quite obvious if you go sit in any classroom why young black men don't want to go to college and why they are doing worse than black women in high school. A lot of them don't even have the grades to go to college. So I don't even understand why we're having this conversation. Facts. Again, I'm going to say it to y'all like this. A lot of y'all kids are getting help. A lot of y'all kids, it's not even just black men. A lot of y'all kids are getting help. They would not have been able to survive if they had to deal with the workload that we had to deal with in college even just 10 years ago. They wouldn't be able to get in if these teachers were not being forced and pressured by administration to pass them. And the reason why school administration puts that pressure on them is so that the school doesn't lose its funding because they're scored. Conversation. A lot of them can't read. A lot of y'all daughters can't read either, but the boys definitely can't read. Okay? Hey D Mally, what's up? And again, it's good to see both of y'all here. And again, this is not to bash like black men in particular. The topic was black men. So I'm talking about how a lot of these black men cannot read and cannot comprehend, but don't get it twisted. It's the women too. It's these women who are getting into college who had a lot of help getting in. So don't let them make you feel dumb or that you're beneath them, because I know the real. And guess what? That's not just black women. It's the Hispanics. It's the whites. These kids today do not have to meet the same academic standard that we're meeting. So all of this talk about college, for most of these kids, that needs to be out the window, honestly and truly. But since the conversation was black men and people are making it a problem that black men don't want to go to college, I chose to speak on black men. Okay. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are wired differently biologically. It's not just young black men who are going to college at lower rates than black women. This is across the board in almost every race. This is happening. And it's because these boys have a higher level of testosterone than women. They don't want to be sitting in a class trying to be quiet, trying to hold their composure. It's so hard to get them to focus and to pay attention. Yet we are trying to force academics on every single young black male instead of y'all. There were so many classes where I could barely even get through a class because I'm having to stop so many times to deal with the behavioral issues of the boys. Stop throwing stuff, stop talking, stop cussing each other out. Look, they would just bust out yelling and screaming at each other, calling each other names. You want to throw stuff across the room. You just want to get up and walk around the classroom. Like, just, like, I had 16 and 17-year-olds. These weren't little kids. Offering them alternatives. Most of them don't need to go to college. I said what I said. The ones who do want to go to college and the ones who are more academically inclined, they're paying attention in school. They're already going to college. That's not the majority. But my boys who were really wanted to go to college, they were applying and going to college. They were sitting in the classroom. They were being quiet. They were focusing. They were doing what I asked them to do. There are black boys like that. Guess what? They're the 27% who go to college. The rest of them quit trying to convince them. Y'all treat them as if they are a failure if they don't go to college. I even had somebody in the comment section telling me that my message is dangerous and it's going to like push young black men to the bottom. It seems like that's where we already headed. So how was me telling them to go do a trade and get up off of their mama couch and get up off of the game and go figure out how to get them some money gonna put them at the bottom? Because if they're not going to school, they got to go do something. What are they doing? Then I had somebody say, oh, well, we need to be pushing them to do jobs like chemical engineering. What part of they don't want to go to college don't you understand? That's the problem. That's the problem right there. Y'all be so smart that you're dumb. That's why them college degrees, when I'm actually talking to somebody and in convert, that don't mean nothing to me. Because I know how dumb half of y'all be. Not y'all, my audience, but the people who want to run up in my comments and say dumb stuff. Now we're talking about trade school as an alternative because the black men of this generation don't want to go to college. And the first thing somebody want to bring up is, well, we need to be telling them to go do chemical engineering. And ma'am, do you know how many Do you know how hard that is? First of all, you're not picking easy degrees. So if you're trying to convince the young brothers to go to college and they already don't want to go, or they feel like it's too difficult, you pick the hardest thing they could do. And they already said they don't want to go. How slow does that sound? The problem is people want things to be the way they think it should be and not the way that they actually are. That's the problem with folks. Y'all can't accept no for an answer. That's the problem. Learn how to accept people's no. Chemical engineering, anything that has to do with industrial engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, that is years worth of school. I know, because my child's father is an electrical engineer. That's not easy work. So you're telling me that we're supposed to convince somebody who already doesn't want to go to college and probably doesn't even have the grades to go and probably can barely. Right. My daughter's dad was an electrical engineer, and I'm gonna be for real. If his family wasn't African, I don't think he would have finished school. He finished school because when you African, baby, they don't have no choice. You better get this degree. He was in school. I don't want to say how long he was in school because I ain't trying to. He was in school for a minute. Well, at one point he changed from another major. He eventually ended his college degree on being an electrical engineer, and it wasn't easy. Like, I remember one class he had, he stayed up literally all night solving one problem. And this was during his like upperclassmen courses, right? So they had only gotten more difficult. These were like the targeted classes for electrical engineering. So these women trying to say, oh, we need to be encouraging them to go into this and go into that and computer science and that. If they don't like school, what makes you think that they're going to have the grit to finish that? For some people, it's better that they go work with their hands, and there's nothing wrong with that. Barely read to go do industrial or chemical engineering, that makes absolutely no sense. Send them to trade school while they're in high school. A lot of the times they will make just as much money, if not more money, than a chemical engineer if they play their cards right. But women, we gotta stop. The best thing you can be is a good, skilled worker and a good businessman. And I've seen those who were like that and they never went to college. I see a lot of Hispanic, I know a lot of Hispanic men who never went to college, got a felony, and they got their own construction company or something like that. And they're making a lot of money. But we teach young Black men that they only have one of a few options, right? Either go to college. We don't even present the military as an option anymore. It's go to college, dribble a ball. We put a ball in their hand as soon as they old enough to pick one up. And then even in that, okay, cool. Why don't you make like put them in tennis or golfing or rugby or soccer or something that's not overly saturated, right? Okay, and then or sell drugs. Those are the only things that get respect from our community. Anything else gets no respect. Stop doing that. Stop trying to force men to be like us. They're not like us. They have different brain capacity than us. I'm not calling them dumb or nothing like that. Because a lot of y'all are clearly lacking in common sense. A lot of these men got more common sense than y'all, right? But in certain things and certain, I ain't trying to bag on my sisters or nothing like that. Because I know a lot of intelligent Black women. I really do. I really do. But this last election cycle taught me that, yeah, it's these men got a lot more sense than what we give them credit for. Just the common sense, just the fundamentals, just the understanding basic human nature. We're not really in a position to look down on them. I'm just saying. Certain academic environments, we fare better than them, and the statistics bear that out. Y'all. And if you are a Black woman and your concern is you're not going to have enough options of men today, well, the solution to me is very simple. Go date men who from groups that go to college. And the brother's not gonna like it when I say that. But if you were just see, I'm not dead set on a man having to have a college degree. Because I've been around so many men that make money different type of ways who have had way more money than me that I already know that's not necessary. So that's not a hill that I'm willing to unalive myself on because I've been around so many groups of men who are out here getting it. So for me, just in general, that's not a requirement. Y'all can feel how y'all want to feel about that. Y'all can say that's pick me or my standards are low. I don't care. Okay. But if your whole thing is you just gotta be with a man that got a college degree and he gotta be making a certain amount of income working for a corporation, then go open your dating options. I don't understand why that's black man's responsibility to make sure that you have an eligible amount, a certain amount of dating options that are eligible. That's not their responsibility. People have to live their lives and they have to walk their own paths. So somebody can't say, I want to go to college knowing that it's not for them and they don't want to go because they have to think about whether you're going to have enough eligible options to date. Ultimately, that's your problem. That's not their problem. And for the ones of y'all who play this whole victim mindset of, oh my God, I ain't gonna have nobody today because none of the black men are going to college, understand that's your fault because ultimately, like you have a preference that you're not willing to deviate from. So that you are choosing to suffer, ma'am, because there are plenty of men in other groups who went to college. It's okay. So what movie are you talking about?